3 months after the U.S. Imposed hiked tariffs on Chinese EV imports, Canada still has yet to act, has not yet revealed its plan. And I'm wondering what your message is to the Canadian government vis-a-vis your national security concerns around this vital industry. And are they mainly economic, or are they centered on the software in these vehicles? Or can you elaborate, as you head to China yourself tomorrow, what your message to Canada is, and should the two countries be presenting a united front?
Canada ultimately will determine its own trade policy, and that's for the Prime Minister and the government to make determinations on. It's not for the U.S. to try to dictate. Of course, we will talk behind closed doors about our experience and what we see. I will also point out, standing here before you, that the European Union has taken action on this front, and the G7 has spoken broadly about this set of issues, about overcapacity and about the national security challenges associated with certain kinds of supply chain issues and trade issues. And Canada will make its own determinations, but the U.S. does believe that a united front, a coordinated approach on these issues benefits all of us.
Hi, Mr. Sullivan. JP Tasker from CBC News. At the last NATO summit, the Prime Minister announced that Canada would reach the 2% of GDP spending target in 2032, so 8 years away from now, much longer runway than a lot of our allies in that alliance. Is the U.S. satisfied with that delayed timeline to get to that 2% target? Would you like to see them spend more sooner?
For every country, we will always be in favor of getting to 2% as rapidly as humanly possible. And we're quite proud of the fact that when President Biden took office, 9 countries in the NATO alliance had hit the 2% of GDP defense spending target. At the NATO summit in Washington last month, the president was able to announce that 23 allies have now hit the 2% mark. That is an enormous leap forward over the course of 3 years. There is still a set of countries that hasn't. Canada is one of them. We welcome what Canada laid out in terms of its 2% target, which is a historic step for Canada to take. And then, of course, with all countries, we'd like to see that 2% target get hit as soon as is humanly possible.
Should Canada adjust its message in any way regarding the situation in the Middle East, or are you satisfied with the current message?
Every country is going to approach this terribly difficult situation with its own perspective, its own balancing of the various considerations at play, and Canada obviously is doing that. One thing I will tell you is that we've had a chance since October 7th to engage. The President and the Prime Minister have spoken on this conflict several times themselves. I have spoken to my counterpart, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the Director of our intelligence services. So we feel that our coordination and transparency on this issue is very strong. Obviously, the choices that we make on policy or the particular posture we take on particular events may be different, but I think we share a fundamentally common objective, which is to get to peace and security in the Middle East, security for Israel as a democratic Jewish state, and a path forward for the Palestinian people so that they can live in freedom and dignity, and that Israel comes to broader peace and normalization with all of its Arab neighbors. So that shared strategic objective remains common and sound, and then, we'll continue to talk through specifics and tactics on the route to get to that ultimate destination. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.